Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Y'all, let's get into episode 2 of Charnita'S World. Everything I'm saying in this video is in my opinion. I'm not making any kind of claim or rendering any judgment. I'm just merely reporting my opinions of the situation. The Copyright Act of 1976, Section 107, gives me fair use of this information, and I'm going to do some commenting, a little criticism. So let's get to it. Okay, so the show starts with Charnita and Jason. They're going on a media run. First they go to V94.9. I think the lady's name was Lady Wu. And Jason said that he felt good to see Charnita walk in her purpose. And he didn't mind, taking a step back to let her shine, get her shine on, get her glow on. He likes seeing his woman like that, walking in her purpose. And we know that Charnita loves her city. And she explains how Charnita'S World is going to show people where she started up until now. She said the idea came to her about 2 years ago, and she's been thinking about it ever since, right? She spoke very highly of Melody. She is very appreciative of her. Like, when I say she loved her some Mel, Charnita loved herself some Melody. And I love to see it, baby. Charnita also spoke about a new venture, which is her green tea talk, where she provides a safe space for other women who can come and share their story, where they're sitting at this green table, sipping their tea and telling their story. Then she spoke with Ken from 950 Extras, and she talked about the way God took her to another level. And with that new level, she knew that she had to balance work and life. And she spoke with Jason about it, about hiring somebody to help her. So the next scene is at Smart Tax. We get introduced to Marquita, who is, I think she's kind of like the executive assistant / manager. And we also meet Miss Joanne, who is Jason's mom. She is the owner of Smart Tax. So we also have a couple of other ladies in there, but I don't think they showed their names. So she comes in to see how the packing is going, and it ain't, in my opinion. All I saw was a bunch of talking, eating, and a lot of talking about a globe. That's all I saw. And I didn't understand why they didn't understand what they were supposed to be doing. Like, what they were supposed to be packing up. Like, where's the checklist? Time is money, honey. Okay? Then Charnita and Jason walk in. They notice off rip that they end up playing around. And Charnita says that the movie was supposed to have been completed at 12 noon. Now y'all need to have it done by 3 o'clock. So she also tells them that she has some good news. And that good news is that they passed inspection. And everybody's like, yay, we passed inspection. So the Globe girl says that she feels like they should go for drinks. And Jason's like, oh, y'all got to get through packing. Ain't nobody drinking nothing till y'all finish packing up these boxes. So Charnita, she speaks positive of her staff. She tells them how much she loves them, how much she appreciates them. And as a staff, you like to hear that from your manager. You like to hear that they appreciate you. So Charnita says that they had serviced over 4,000 people, and that shows that they can go even further. And Jason says, well, if y'all hit over 5,000, I'll take you to Jamaica. And Charnita looked at him like, I don't know about that. So Charnita says, listen, if y'all meet the goal, we'll take you somewhere, but it ain't gonna be Jamaica, because Jamaica is her and Jason's place, honey. So the next scene, they go to therapy. Now, this was my favorite scene. I really enjoyed this scene, right? So they go into therapy with Miss April, and she's wearing blue, and they like, is blue your favorite color? And Jason's like, I think her favorite color red. But Miss April says that she wears blue and gray in therapy sessions because it's very calming. And I feel like that was good, because it's like she's setting the tone, she's setting the atmosphere for the therapy session. So she asked them, how has it been since the last session? And they both admitted that they lied the last time when it was over. And she was like, so how do you feel? They was like, oh, okay, we feel good. but they actually didn't. They said that session triggered both of them. So Charnita, she brought up the situation about her name not being on the bank account. She said that they were in the car and Jason was excited because they had hit $1 million, but Charnita didn't know that because she wasn't getting them alerts on her phone. So she, felt a certain way about that, and that she didn't have access to the accounts. So she said when she went to the bank, her name wasn't on it. And she went to another bank and her name wasn't on that one. And she said she could have said her business was on it, but she didn't. Now, I'm only going to talk about this as if it's just a business account, only because she said she could have told them the name of her business, and she said she makes money too, and she wanted to know where that money going. Now, even with her saying she could have said her company was on it, they still wouldn't have gave her access to that account. Because how it sounds, let's just say they have an LLC. And it sounds as if that LLC is manager managed. And evidently Jason is the manager. He is listed on the account as the manager. He's the owner of the account, as well as in the operating agreements that you have to take with you to the bank when you're opening a business account. Because if she was even on there as an authorized user, she would have had her own credentials to get into that account. So then Jason, he went on to explain that he took control of the account to make sure that they stayed on budget. He said that after they left the last counseling session, he had a meeting. The meeting fell through, so he decided to go on to the bank. He called Charnita, asked her to meet him at the bank, but she didn't come. She said she had, some content to get out. Then he took it a step further a few days later and called the bank to find out another solution. And the banker told him he could add her and she could just come in later to sign. So the therapist asked her if she had gone down to the bank to sign the paperwork. And she was like, hold on, I'm going. No, ain't no holding on, Charnita. This and the thing is, that lady had asked Charnita about 2 questions already. They were basically like yes or no questions. And she couldn't give a direct answer. In my opinion, she was not taking accountability for not going to handle the business that she said was an issue for her. Jason found a solution, but she not even taking the initiative to finalize the solution. So then she says, even though he took the initiative to go and put her name on the account, why didn't she go with him? And she said that made it feel like he was hiding something. Now, for somebody like me, that irritated me. It did. And I don't think Jason did it intentionally. Even the therapist was like, but Charnita, are you missing the point that he left here with the intention of you going with him then? And Charnita says, yes, I do see the intention, but I actually wanted to be there with him. That sound clingy for me. It just do. And all this is my opinion, all right, y'all? Don't forget that. So the therapist said, yeah, he invited you to come. Then Charnita says, so that means in marriage, if I invite him and he can't make it right, I gotta wait on him to get there. She does this little baby talk thing like Kimmy, and I don't like it. Me to that is like, no, if there is business that you can handle without him and it needs to be handle the business. The therapist responded, so you'd rather him schedule another time for y'all to go? And Charnita says yes. Charnita said he told her to go up there and sign the papers. And for her, that was a trigger because it brought up memories from the time before. And I'm like, what's the time before? What happened the time before? I need to know that. And it came off to me that she wanted Jason there to hold her hand because that's not her area of expertise. And there's nothing wrong with it. And when Jason was telling her about going in to sign the paperwork, she said he was excited. In her words, he praised it. And she said, a part of me was like, this is not what I asked for. But she didn't want to bring him down. And the therapist made a good point and said, but Charnita, Jason is responsible for his emotions and you're responsible for yours. You have to speak your truth the way you feel it. You can't hold back because then you're denying yourself. And I'm happy that she said that because sometimes we do more damage to ourselves or the situation trying to protect the other person's feelings. And when we do that, we're not being as honest as we should be. Then Charnita says, but then it's going to bring him back into that place. And the therapist was like, you don't know that. You're assuming. That's an assumption. And for me, Charnita is still operating in a space from the past. But she said she was healed and that Jason wasn't. And in my opinion, she hasn't healed either, because if she had, she wouldn't have been afraid to express her true feelings. So the therapist asked Charnita, did she think Jason could read her mind? And Charnita says, but you remember I said I wanted to be there with him. And I talked about going over things on the poster board. But both the therapist and Jason thought that Charnita wanted to go over the poster board at home, not at the bank. And the therapist was like, you can't go over the poster board at the bank, can you? Then Charnita, in my opinion, she gets defensive and says, both of us can go to the bank. She said, I wanted to see it. I want to see what's in this account and what's in that account. Then Jason said, see, this is different. This is a different conversation. He said from college all the way up, and I guess all the way up means like till now, that he will put everything in a spreadsheet, but she won't pay attention. Sort of like he was doing, like, I guess, like checks and balances, but she felt like she was in a corporate meeting. So instead of asking her about the transactions, he just started having notifications sent to his phone. And she liked it better that way, with him not going over all the details of the accounts. And I kind of feel like either Charnita felt like he was talking to her like she was slow, or she just couldn't grasp what he was saying, and that made her uncomfortable. And he said, so now she wants to know all of that, and she wants the spreadsheets. For me, I feel like now that is a trigger for Jason, because when we were doing it that way, you weren't interested. It was a problem, like you made it a big deal. You felt a way about it. So now he's trying to avoid doing it that way because he don't want to trigger her the same way she didn't want to trigger him by, expressing how she felt and saying that she didn't want to bring him down. So then Charnita chimes in and says she wasn't submissive. And I don't think submissive is the right word. More like she wasn't interested or she wasn't cooperative. Then Charnita said, at that time, you're showing me what I'm spending in Excel, but we're together, so why are we having a tutorial? And I think that's why Jason, I think he was doing it that way, because that's why your car was getting declined at TJ Maxx, ma'am. Because you're spending, but not keeping up with what you're spending, and evidently not repaying that credit card because it got declined. So he started handling the finances and putting everything in a spreadsheet to try to explain it to you, like what's going out, what's coming in, what you need to pay, where you need to slack off it. So it just almost sounds like Charnita may not have been good with money, in my opinion. Maybe she wasn't good with the finances and budgeting, and she wasn't a good paymaster. So that's why Jason became the person over the money. But now she's ready to go all the way in. She's ready to handle things the way Jason handles it. She's ready for the spreadsheets and the tutorials. And I don't think that's what she said to Jason. I think the session is Jason's first time hearing her say it that way. But Jason, he still seems to be worried because he's like, I put on there, but I don't know. I think he's a little nervous. And another thing to me, Charnita, she is not good at explaining herself. She talks with a lot of thises. Like, she'll say, I want to be on this, and I want to see this, and I want you to show me this, and then we do this. Instead of saying, I need to be added to the business account. And I don't know if their account is set up like this, but let's just say it is. And she would say, I need to be added to the business account. And I know you mentioned before, it's good to have at least 3 accounts all together. So you have your main business account, you have your account for your business taxes, and you have your account for your business expenses. I want to see all of those accounts, and I want to see how the money is divided into those accounts, what goes in, what comes out. And like she said, because if something were to happen to you and I'm not on those accounts, I won't have access to that money. And that's true, because depending on how they set up their business, whether it's member managed or manager managed, and who they have listed on those operating agreements in regards to who can handle banking as far as loans, credit cards, lines of credit, having access to the account. If she's not on there, she ain't getting in. And I know she said she felt a certain way when she went to one of the banks and the lady was like, man, we can't show that to you. And I would feel a certain way too. But this is the time that Jason needs to sit down with her and explain the finances. They need to redo the operating agreement so that she won't have any problems having access to that account or to those accounts, because he said that she has been added to some of them. So we shall see. But the therapy session was my favorite session. I like that part of the episode. I hope we get more of therapy session. And I did notice that there were some times that the therapist would cut off Jason, and sometimes she would cut off Charnita. And I need her to work on, like, I know this is her job, I know this is what she went to school for, whatever. But I think sometimes she needs to let them just get their complete thought out, and then she chimes in. I don't know if she chimes in because she thinks she may forget what she wants to say, but I think she needs to let them get more of their thoughts out, if that makes sense. But did y'all watch the episode? What did y'all think about it? Let me know. And I hope, like, if they get a second season, that they come back, that the production, I think the guy's name is Mark, I hope he comes back on top of his game. From the editing of the scenes, to the lighting, to the sound, I hope he comes back on the top of his game. And I know in everything you do, you have to always work on your craft. You have to be on top of the newest software, the newest film lens. You need to be on top of all of that. And I hope he comes back with that, because at the end of the episode, it had this little piece about Bella Rose and what happened at school. And I'm thinking, like, okay, this is for what's happening on the next episode. And I don't know what you call that little thing that you put in there. I don't know if it's a spiel or whatever. But when you say, what's next on the next episode of Charnita'S World, and then they go into that, I don't know, because it almost seemed like, okay, this still go with episode 2, but it really don't. But yeah, other than that, I like, and what I've noticed, we only 2 episodes in, but I've noticed that I don't be stressed. I don't feel stressed or frustrated or mad or ready to, put some hands on somebody after the episode. It's just so refreshing and it's so relatable. Like, I like that. So what do y'all think? Please like, share, subscribe, get down in the comments. Let's talk about it, and I'll talk to y'all later.